Welcome to the program. There is the People's Bench, and we are coming to you as usual from Game Suits here in Riverside, Nairobi. I am your host, Fred Ogweno, and I am privileged to have Mr. Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. He says it the way it is. Tonight, the country is mourning. Questions without answers. That are we back to the dark days of the Kanu era? Are we seeing back police brutality without answers? That is why we are here, and we are going head to head with Mr. Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. How are you, sir?
A very good evening.
Welcome back to the People's Bench.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
I think I should say good evening, good morning, good night, because some people watch this show from as far as, the US, London, everywhere. So
absolutely.
Whatever time of the day it is or night, good at that time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm extremely happy to be here. I'm honored to be here. And thank you. 53 million Kenyans, and you chose me to come. Thank you.
I'm honored.
Yes.
Now, straight to the conversation. Are we going back to the dark days? We promulgated a new constitution that we thought was going to end this kind of cases that we are seeing. Police brutality, murder in police stations are becoming the order of the day. What do you have to say?
I think, thank you very much. First and foremost, God is so faithful and God is so fair. If there is something William Ruto had done right, much to the scare of his skeptics, is he had gotten Homa Bay. He went there, and people spent a night in the stadium waiting for him. But because God is so faithful, and the heavens are so faithful, they do not want William Ruto to be president again.
Oh my.
He had to get his own people within less than 10 days to go there and destroy what he had done in Homa Bay. So he goes, he garners Homa Bay, gets a lot of support from Homa Bay. Less than 10 days after Mashujaa Day, or Madaraka Day for that matter, his own men go there and grab a young leader, a young teacher, and bring him to Nairobi and brutalize him and kill him. And what is going to happen? Now, you can imagine what will happen on the burial day when his body is taken back to Homa Bay and buried in Homa Bay, and there's a burial ceremony in Homa Bay. What they shall be burying, other than the body of Albert, is the achievements that Ruto had made in terms of the inroads he had made in Homa Bay. God is also so faithful. The people of Homa Bay started saying, I think it's certain tribes that don't want. That very same God made sure that the same administration made another mistake. If you look at Millie Mabona's Facebook page, today she's complaining about another young man who is said to have hanged himself with his trouser. These funny stories that mtu anajigongesha ukuta again in Homa Bay. Why? Because when heaven rejects you properly. And they make sure that whatever gains you make another 5 steps backwards. I don't think the people of Homa Bay have anything to celebrate about this administration again. It is their own sons that are being killed. And this administration has proven to us that they are excellent at eating their own children. What they have done to Mount Kenya that voted for this administration, they are doing twice as bad to Homa Bay that had started embracing this administration.
Tell me, my brother, is it a case of the Swahili saying that siku ya nyani kufa miti yote uteleza? Police killed this young man in a police cell, and then look at the narrative that they are trying to sell, that he hit his head on the wall until he died, and they expected us to buy that.
They obviously did not kill him in a police cell. I mean, anybody who's been to Central Police knows that there's barely enough space to have one human being occupying one cell. So those atrocities did not happen in the cell. The truth of the matter is, you remember one newspaper gave us a story about something that happened in Karura Forest.
Yes.
And phones that have been traced to have been at the site of the crime. This person was brutalized elsewhere. There is one thing Kenyans have fought for, and we have achieved, I thank God. DIG Langat has stepped aside. But we are not happy. There is more. When you are investigating a crime, you investigate a crime from the source.
I hear you.
We are not being told who this arrest us, who these DCI officers are that took him from his home in Homa Bay. How can you tell us that you are interested in where he ended up, Central Police, but you're not interested in who brought him here? This squad that the government wants to protect so much is because they want to continue meeting violence upon citizens. And that's why they do not want the names of the men who grabbed him from his home into this national conversation.
Are you saying there is a killer squad within government?
What we are saying, what did they do to Albert? Did they manufacture him afresh? They killed him. So when we say they are a killer squad, they are a killer squad because they killed Albert. Is there another way of putting it? If they had made him a saint, would have said they have a sainthood. These are killers, period. And the problem we are having is that this is a very funny investigation that does not want to talk about the people who brought Alfred from his home to Central Police. No. They want to conveniently tell us about the people from Central Police moving forward. This thing must be unearthed from the source. We want every name of every person involved in that line to the end. So thank you, DIG has stepped aside. The demonstrations and the pressure and the noise we've made is bearing fruit. However, it is not enough. We want the whole collection from where it started to the last people who took him to Mbagathi. That's what we want. And then now we shall be satisfied that we have the whole list of names. Yes.
My brother, IPOA chairperson Isaka San told Parliament that up to 20 people have lost their lives in police cells in the last 4 months. And then he gets away with that. We have not been told what are the names of these people, in which police stations they were being held, what were the crimes committed. I mean, isn't that just a tip of the iceberg?
Albert is a representation of very many young people who have lost their lives at the hands of our policemen. And I need to remind you that we still have more than 200 young people that we don't know where they are. And the government that is supposed to tell us where they are is also saying they don't know where they are. So Albert was the straw that broke the camel's back. We had taken in way too much. And way too many parents are still crying and hoping to see their children. So when you see people on the streets, it's not just Albert. Albert is a representation of the many others who have been through this kind of hell. Yes.
But someone would argue that this kind of killings have not started with President Ruto's government, that Uhuru during Kinoti, was abducting, was killing people. It was the order of the day. What is it that William Ruto has done differently that makes people come in the streets in their big numbers?
I've always asked people, let us not allow ourselves to be foolish. If you come driven in a bus, whatever the name of the company of the bus is, from Kisumu, and then that bus lands in Nairobi, and the driver of the bus alights. He was not a good driver. He was not an excellent driver. He alights, and the makanga alights, and then a new driver comes, and a new conductor comes. And before you even get to Emali, if you're going to Mombasa, people are hooting at him, wanamwashia mataa, swerving out of the road to create room for him because he's overtaking carelessly. Do you wait until he rams you into a stationary trailer for you to say, driver, you're not doing well? We are in a bus. The bus driver is driving carelessly. And there's an idiot, and I'll call him an idiot, sitting with us in this bus saying, hata yule driver alitutoa Kisumu alikuwa mbaya. Ule driver alitutoa Kisumu is immaterial. Tulitoka Kisumu tukafika Nairobi. We are in a bus heading to Mombasa, hatujafika Emali. Everybody is hooting at us. Everybody anatuashia mataa. Every other vehicle is swerving on the road because of us. Inagonga bump, inaruka juu. And then you are being told by idiots who are sitting within this bus, hata ule driver tulikuwa ametubeba jana ni mbaya. We are worried about this driver because he can ram us into a stationary trailer and we shall all die. Na anatuendesha speed ya 120 and the wrong way. He has no respect for traffic rules. In fact, everybody ndio anamuondokea. We are sitting in a bus. This is a going concern. We are not going to allow this driver to ram us into a trailer because we want to discuss yesterday's driver. We are in this bus and we want to get to Mombasa. That's where we are.
Initially, we saw DIG Lagat, or former, I don't know whether to call him former because he just stepped aside, he's not resigned. He was very adamant. He refused. He did not even apologize or rather condole with the family of Albert Ojwang until after he's stepping aside. What might have happened in some corridors of power that finally he had to step aside?
Unakataa na kiti ya nani? Let's start there. Whose position is DIG?
Alikaa ngumu.
No, whose position is it? It belongs to Kenyans. And they can hire a monkey to sit there. It's their position. Mimi siwezi kuja hapa nianze kujigamba na kiti ya raia. Niseme sitang'oka. As who? When the public says they don't want you occupying a seat that is theirs. Oh, there are so very many people under DIG Langat or even above him who would occupy that position. It is good he has stepped aside. We don't care what machinations happened. All we know is that young people have gone to the streets. Young people have gone to TV stations like myself. Young people have gone to Twitter. They've gone to every space available. And they have called for his resignation. And also the bigger leaders. I mean, we've seen senior politicians do the same. So this nation is more important. I told you, when we have demonstrations in Nairobi, we lose more than 2 billion shillings a day. So this government needs to decide whether DIG is more important than 2 billion shillings a day. Young people are planning to do maandamano tomorrow. I don't know how that will turn out now, but at least it shows that our voice is being heard, and we shall continue pressing until our voice is heard even more.
Where does this put the ODM leader Raila Odinga and the broad-based government?
I told you, and I will tell you very many times, unajua mimi sina security. Si uliona mrafiki yetu akikimbishwa huko Nyayo Stadium pio. So sometimes I'm worried deeply. Yes. But all I want to tell Baba, as a nation, we have identified who our adversary is. And our adversary for now is William Ruto. He's not governing as well. And sometimes we aim at him, we want to throw jabs at him. Then unaona Baba amepita hapo. Na kumbe alikuwa ameenda huko State House. Sasa tunashindwa. Sasa tukigonga Baba, is he part of the mess? We are really confused. We want to know how to deal with Baba. Now, I don't want to open a war with him. He's too many calibers above me. I'm still a young person learning the ropes in politics. But I wish to tell him that one of the things they had signed in that MOU was no to abductions and killings of young people. I think if there was ever a golden excuse for him to leave this sinking ship, it is now.
You're advising Baba to leave?
I mean, let's have an honest conversation. Baba came into the broad-based government earlier as who? First, Baba had Mother Karua. And people might want to say Mother Karua did not deliver. Baba got 1 million votes in Mount Kenya. Go check. Baba had Kalonzo Musyoka. That man, whether you like him or not, delivers not less than 2.5 million votes. Every time. He's not with him. Baba had the entire Abagusi vote. Now the Abagusi are singing a different song. You saw what they did to him in the stadium. Baba had the whole block of Western. You cannot say he's with Western anymore. His going into this alliance has emasculated him. It has taken away from him the stature that was Baba's stature. Because Baba used to come and say, I have Luo Nyanza, I have Eastern, I have Kisii, I have Western, I have Coast, I have the block of Nairobi. He always used to lead in Nairobi. But now can Baba say that he has that? So this thing has removed away from him. Can you imagine the whole of Gusii Nyanza? Can you imagine the bulk of Western is not with Baba? The whole of Eastern is not with Baba. He's not got Mount Kenya. Coast is leaving him. If I was Baba, I would go back to my former self. I would say, wait a minute. I was always on the side where people were. That's the Baba we knew. He was always on the sides of the populace. But now he's not on the side of the populace.
But I ask you, my brother, what is being on the side of the people helping Baba with if there is no development? Now he's in broad-based government. We are seeing the kind of monumental development projects that the government is doing in Nyanza. Does it profit him just being in the opposition and having Kalonzo Musyoka and all this support that he, without anything to show off?
First and foremost, our MPs, shame on you, because you don't know how much power you wield. After the 2010 Constitution, that imperial president who used to decide who gets a dam and who gets a river and who gets a road died. Everything is done on the floor of the House. So this thing of saying you need to be aligned with government for you to get a road was supposed to be dead by now. What is supposed to happen, we are supposed to have parliamentarians who come and discuss the budget, who come and allocate resources, and they are enshrined in the budget. Inatajwa kama ni barabara ya kwenda Mbita inawekwa lami, inatajwa hapo. And that is done. This other nonsense of thinking that there is deals that should come from State House must die. The reason we have devolution is so that governors are given money and so that governors also collect money to do their own feeder roads within their own places. So this thing of having to worship a president is what the 2010 Constitution wanted to destroy. Any other fool taking us back there is messing us up.
It wanted to destroy, but it did not destroy. So until it destroys.
It did. What happened is that the presidency has bought parliament at a very high price. And parliament is not able to think independently and make independent decisions. But from where I sit, we are supposed to be a country that does not rely on the president to get roads within our areas.
Look, your uncle, Professor Kithure Kindiki, has forgotten about the professorship. He's working with huge amount of monies, millions, trying to sway and influence people. He's trying, look at what he's doing.
He's giving our people beans. Maharagwe yenye hivi na chemushwa 13 hours. I worry deeply when I see people who think the way these people are thinking. I have always said, if you elect brains into parliament, you get blueprints. You get what Professor Anyang' Nyong'o was giving us, poverty reduction strategy paper. You get Vision 2030. You get blueprints. And that's what runs a nation. Now, when you elect some of the dimwits I see in parliament, what do you get? A fool who thinks that you can give a tank to a constituency. So wanakuja wanasema ni economic empowerment, wanapeana tanks. How many tanks will you give? If a constituency has 100,000 voters, where will you get tanks to give 100,000 people? If you had elected brains into parliament, you would have been getting a blueprint on how to pipe water to every home. You can pipe water to all the houses in a constituency, but you cannot provide tanks to all the houses in a constituency. It is unsustainable to think that a boda is an economic empowerment. A boda is trying to help persons carry people to the stage. But haa tunabeba wanaenda kutafuta kazi. I wish they created an industry. So when you elect dimwits, you get poverty management. When you elect brains, you get poverty eradication. We are drip feeding, drip. We are drip feeding poverty. And that's the nonsense I'm seeing in this economic empowerment meeting. You can call them wherever. Unapatia watu cherehani washone watu waweke nguo viraka. Instead of thinking of how we would be talking cotton. Let me tell you why some of these things are sustainable. If, for example, you are reviving cotton, a farmer will grow cotton, take it to that place, it's produced, it becomes clothes. You can repeat the cycle. That's what happens when you bring a dairy farm to a place. Because now it's a cycle that a farmer can repeat. Buy feeds, feed your cow, produce milk, sell milk, repeat. You can do it for 50 years. That's what happens with tea and coffee. Those are industries that you can grow coffee, unachuna, unapeleka factory. You can repeat that process every year and you can make an income. Now bring somebody serehani ya kushona nguo. Anaekea watu nguo viraka mtaa mzima and then what? So this nonsense of electing dimwits is what is causing us to be where we are.
Still on election of our leaders, with this case of Albert Ojwang, it seems like the killers, Ojwang's killers, were almost getting away with this. Look, the police leadership are able to come in government and lie on oath that if it were not because of the efforts that have been put by the Gen Zs, they're almost, going to get away with this. What kind of leaders do we have?
Let's forget those police.
We can
Let's talk about our Gen Zs. The first thing I want to talk about is the demonstrations that we had on our streets. Now, can I introduce you to something? You know, when I sit up, can you imagine sahi ukishika mashini ya smoky na mayai and you throw it on a kanjo pickup, there will be a Kenyan following that machine and crying and saying, give me back my eggs. They bring a Toyota 110 and another funny vehicle there. And they are set ablaze in the name of demonstrators who are causing violence. Can you imagine until now, nobody has gone to claim that vehicle. Nobody is crying that their car was burned.
I hear you.
Pumbavus.
I hear you.
How stupid can you be to bring us such high nonsense? Ati munatuambia kuna gari imechomwa kwa maandamano, and up to now, nobody has gone to claim a car of value. Number two, Kenyans are not stupid. They go to the NTSA portal and they run a search on those vehicles. That crap doesn't exist. That rubbish they burnt does not exist. Why? Again, we have fools pretending to be clever, arranging something that is supposed to hoodwink Kenyans, and then Kenyans tell you, si tunajua ujinga yenyu mahali imefika. So number three, about those home vehicles. From the fire station to Kenya Cinema is closer, way closer than from the fire station to Parliament. When Gen Zs had the most violent demonstration on the 25th of June 2024, the roads had so many young people. But because Parliament is so important to these firefighters, they were able to go and put out fire in Parliament. But these vehicles were burnt to a shell. And it is closer from the fire station to Kenya Cinema. And there is even a smaller demonstration compared to what we had last year. Na wali hizo gari zilichomeka na zikaisha. It tells you they wanted those cars to burn. It tells you they put them there to burn. We are not foolish. Lastly, on that issue of the Gen Z demonstration, any human being who phantoms and sits down and puts together money and pays other young people to carry rungus and beat up Gen Zs who are demonstrating, that is not a human being. That is a creature. That's a demon. That's a devil. Lucifer himself pretending to be a human being, financing that young people be beaten up for fighting for their rights. And if you are that leader who was financing Gen Zs, wewe ni Lucifer, wewe ni Shetani himself. I am not, because you know yourself. And shame on you. And may the violence you have meted on the innocent young people find you tenfold. To our Kenya police, our constitution, Article 47 is very clear. People have a right to demonstrate peacefully and unarmed. Then we have some takataka carrying rungus on our streets and being escorted by police. And conveniently, every time young people are arrested, the goons are never arrested. We have not seen a person wielding a weapon being arrested. Finally, walikuja wakabomoa bins za kanjo. Hey, now, our city council askaris are known to be the most lethal, the worst. They mistreat human beings like, you know. But when it comes to them goons destroying their property, that's where they draw the line. Automatically, they forget that they are lethal and they watch these boys destroy their things. Why? Ile siku waliharibu expressway. They hired goons to destroy flowers on the expressway. And then they came up with a budget of 700 million to repair. I am telling you, Nairobi City County are preparing now to come up with a budget. An obnoxious budget to say they are replacing dustbins and some rails that were destroyed by goons who they know very well who hired them. Kama kutakuwa na another demonstration, au askari wa Kanjo tunataka kuwaona on the streets, protecting what is Kanjo. Haiwezi kuwa ati saa hii nikikuja kuuza mandazi hapa kwa demonstration, kuna Kanjo wa kunishika. And when there's a guy destroying a Kanjo bin, there is no Kanjo officer available. This city county of Nairobi is complicit in the beating up of Gen Zs. And I want them to come and prove that they are not complicit. So we are angry, and we have to be angry enough to tell them we are not idiots, we are not fools. The cars you burnt, we have not seen a Kenyan coming to claim them. Can you imagine ati mashini ya Smoky iko na claimant na gari ya hundreds of thousands haina mtu anaiclaim mpaka saa hii? We are not fools.
Sakaja is a young man. He can't think any better. Why would he think like somebody who still lives in
I don't even want to
age?
mention some of these names.
But he's the governor. The buck stops with him.
The good thing is Kenyans paraded some yellow watches. They drew an association. They have decided. But the good thing, we also saw that MCA who was yelling at cameras and saying how Sakaja should come out and root out these young people. And we saw it was a collection of MCAs. I will tell you this, you cannot defeat the goodwill of the people. And Kenyans have known who you are. And whatever is going to be said, whoever plans and finances for the beating up of Gen Zs because they are demonstrating is Lucifer himself. Don't consider yourself a human being. If you are the one who did that, whoever you are, wewe ni shetani tu umevaa nguo za binadamu. There is no way you can plan for the shedding of innocent blood and claim to be a leader.
I can't let you go, my brother, without this final question. That you are a leader, Rigathi Gachagua, in the opposition, and other opposition leaders. We hear everybody saying that William Ruto is bad, that he should go. The question is this: who will send him home?
Perfect answer. Who will send William Ruto home? First, Kenyans will send him home.
How?
Let's start there. Through the ballot. You see, if I am going through a divorce, my good friend Fred, you can't come and ask, sasa utaoa nani? I am going through, let me go through my divorce. As to whether I'm going to marry is another question, and whom I am going to marry. For now, I know the husband I don't want, or I know the wife I don't want. This person is abusive, they are narcissistic, they are bad, they are chaotic, they hawalipi school fees, hawalipi medical ya watoto. That is the person I don't want for a spouse. Now, whom do I want for a spouse? Someone different from this one. Give me time. I have time to heal. I have time to make a decision. There are many other suitors who are presenting themselves. They are thinking that it's automatic that when you are going through a divorce, you need to know who the replacement for your spouse is. Not unless you used to cheat when you're in this other marriage. We are going through a messy divorce, a terrible one. We have a bad spouse, a narcissistic spouse. Stop asking us who we are going to marry next. That will come. For now, we want to finalize this divorce. We want to leave this bad spouse. We know the kind of spouse we don't want. That's the first step of healing. Knowing whom you don't want. And that's where Kenyans are. Now, after we are done with this messy divorce, we will tell you who we are marrying next. But again, you're my ex. Why do you want to know who I'm marrying? Because I've had people, now a president has been asking people, mutachagua nani? Nani ataniweza? The answer is, you are our ex. Please, can you imagine your ex asking you who you are going to date next? What business does your ex have asking you who you are going to date next? You are my ex, you are in my past. I can even decide to date the guy who sells charcoal near your house. Or I can decide to date the billionaire next door. But I will date.
Kikuyu is regretting for voting for William Ruto. And to what extent? Because other Kenyans are saying that you are the ones who brought us this problem.
I'll tell you this. The words I wish I knew are on the lips of every human being.
Oh my.
Those words are on the lips of every living creature. I wish I knew. I was in Azimio. You people know that. I was an Azimio candidate. So there's no way I would say I regret with those who voted for William Ruto. I never was on that side.
I hear you.
The good thing is that people realize they've made a mistake. And they've realized early in the day. And they are willing to make amends for their mistake. So let them be allowed to make amends for their mistake. Let's not beat them so much for a mistake that they made.
I hear you.
They were told by their father, don't get here. They ignored the la mkuu vunjika guu. Asiyesikia la mkuu vunjika guu. Wamevunjika guu. And they are sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
But my brother, I hear you. This is William Ruto, who was able to defeat Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga with the support of the deep state, with Uhuru Kenyatta. Look, he has already fixed IEBC unilaterally. Kalonzo is saying that we will form a people's IEBC. He is not going anywhere. Gachagua speaks about transparency in the formation of the IEBC, but nobody seems to be listening. How are you going to send? I want us to be realistic, my brother.
I'll answer
This
you.
is William Ruto, and he's done with IEBC.
William Ruto, and I thank him, hats off. He was able to prove to Kenyans that it is possible to defeating a sitting president and his systems with everything akiwa na power. Now, using the formula he taught us, we will use it on him to defeat a sitting president, because it has been done before. And the person who showed us that it's possible is the person who is sitting in State House. So we are not going to do something new now. In fact, now this is just a repetition of the formula he used to defeat a sitting president with all the systems, with deep state and with the army.
But Uhuru was going
I'll answer
home.
you. Look here, Uhuru was going home. Where is Ruto going? State House doesn't belong to him. For your information, State House is our place, all of us as Kenyans. So all I need to tell you is stop this worry of saying that because Ruto defeated Uhuru together with the deep state and everything, that's what we want to do. We want to defeat William Ruto with his deep state and with his resources and with the army on his side and with the police on his side. We will defeat him at the ballot. Let me tell you, forget about this IEBC. In fact, I wonder why people are fighting it. Even if they had gotten 9 family members, they choose one politician they like the most, wachukue his sisters and brothers, wawaeke pale. The vote count against this administration will be so high. Now you have a situation where your own sister is telling you, tunataka kuiba lakini inakata.
Na akikataa kuenda nyumbani,
Now,
akikataa ku hand over power.
I'll answer
like he
you.
said, he will not hand over to people who have no, vision.
Kenya, I like the way God inspires me to answer some of these questions. The Constitution speaks about the assumption of power. It does not speak about the handover of power. In fact, we have an act called the Assumption of Power Act. Yeah? That law governs how we shall take over power, the ones who win, not how we shall be given power. I like what President William Ruto said. He said he will not hand over the sword. And my answer to him is simple. In fact, we never wanted the sword anyway. No. He's the one who is so keen on the sword, because at the swearing in, he was given the sword and the Constitution. He uses the sword all the time. He doesn't use the Constitution. Even now, he has sworn in, he's gazetted IEBC against a court order. So he doesn't use the Constitution. In fact, I would have been worried if William Ruto had said he's not going to hand over the Constitution. That would worry us deeply. But he has said he's not going to give out the sword. That doesn't worry us. It is the Constitution that confers the sword. It is not the sword that confers the Constitution. We have the Constitution, and we shall come and we shall do the assumption of office, because the law does not speak about handing over. In fact, the law is not interested in who is holding power. The law is interested in who is taking power.
Sudi has said, my brother, sorry for interjecting, Mheshimiwa Oscar Sudi has said that they cannot, afford to let go the presidency, because they know that if, this thing gets out of their hands, they will have to run out of this country as we are winding up.
In the Constitution, what position does Oscar Sudi hold?
He's a member of parliament.
Bas. So what is he talking about the presidency?
He's in the kitchen cabinet, deep state.
What part of the presidency does he hold? Which office, which state office?
Sudi is a deep state.
Is he the commander-in-chief of the defense forces?
But his brother is.
No. Does he live at Defense House? How many policemen, right-thinking policemen, would take orders from Sudi?
Thank you very much for watching. It has been your #1 political and governance show, The People's Bench, coming to you from Game Suits here in Riverside, Nairobi, with me, Fred Ogweno, and it was a privilege and a great honor to have Mr. Fanya Mambo Kinuthia himself, and you've heard from him. Thank you so much, my brother. for coming to the People's Bench.
Thank you
Hope to
so
see
much
you again.
for having me.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, until next time, bye-bye.